Subscribe, like, and share for more videos.
I don't know when it appeared. That's the part that keeps me awake. Not what's inside it. Not what I heard last night. Not even what I think I saw standing in the corner. It's the fact that I live alone. And somehow, I didn't notice an entire room forming inside my house. I bought this place 8 months ago. Small 2-story house, suburban neighborhood, quiet street. The kind of place where people wave at each other but never really talk. It wasn't old, built in the early 2000s. Clean inspection, no weird history, no previous deaths, no local legends, just drywall, insulation, and a 30-year mortgage. I know the layout by heart. You kind of have to when you live alone. Front door opens into the living room, kitchen to the left, hallway straight ahead leading to the bathroom and my bedroom, stairs on the right side of the living room leading up to a small loft space I use as an office. There is no extra space, no hidden storage, no sealed-off attic corridor. I checked all of that when I moved in, because I don't like surprises. It started 3 nights ago. I woke up at 2:13 a.m. Not from a nightmare, not from a noise, just awake. You know that feeling when your body wakes up before your brain does? When the room feels slightly unfamiliar for a second? That's what it felt like, only it didn't fade. I lay there staring at my bedroom door, waiting for my eyes to adjust. Something felt wrong. Not loud wrong, not dramatic wrong, just slightly off. Like walking into a room where someone moved a chair an inch to the left. You can't immediately tell what changed, but you know something did. I sat up. That's when I noticed the hallway light was on. I never leave it on. Electricity bills are expensive. I'm obsessive about turning lights off. I just stared at that thin strip of yellow light cutting across my bedroom floor. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was distracted. That's what I told myself. I got up and opened the door. The hallway looked normal. Bathroom door closed. Loft stairs where they should be. Everything in place. Except there was a door at the end of the hallway. There has never been a door at the end of that hallway. There has never been space for one. I just stood there because my brain refused to process it. The hallway ends at a wall. I have leaned against that wall while talking on the phone. I vacuumed that wall. I've hung a picture on that wall. And now, there was a door. White. Plain. No handle. Just a round brushed metal knob. It wasn't squeezed in. It wasn't crooked. It fit perfectly, like it had always been part of the house. I actually laughed. A short, nervous, confused laugh. "Okay," I said out loud. "Very funny." As if someone was pranking me. As if someone had access to my house without breaking in. As if someone had silently built a new section overnight. I walked closer. The air felt different near it. Cooler. Not cold, just slightly cooler than the rest of the hallway. I reached out and touched the door. Solid, real, painted, slight texture of cheap interior wood. My heart started beating harder because I couldn't explain it. And when you can't explain something inside your own home, your body knows before you do. I tried the knob. It didn't turn. Locked. I checked the rest of the house. Every window locked from the inside, back door secure. Security system still armed. No alerts, no notifications, no signs of forced entry, and no signs that a construction crew had quietly added square footage while I slept. By 3 a.m., I had convinced myself of the only logical explanation. I somehow never noticed that door before. Maybe the previous owner added it late. Maybe I just mentally edited it out. Humans miss obvious things all the time, right? I went back to bed. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I measured the hallway. From my bedroom door to the end wall, 14 feet, 2 inches. I still had the old listing photos saved on my phone. In those photos, there was no door, just a wall. Same paint color, same light fixture, no door. I zoomed in, no shadow suggesting one, no frame lines, nothing. That's when something in my stomach dropped. Because photos don't forget. People do, but photos don't. I told myself I'd deal with it after work. Maybe call the realtor. Maybe check building records. Maybe I was losing it. Maybe stress was doing something strange to my perception. I barely focused all day. When I came home, I stood at the front door for a full minute before unlocking it. Part of me expected the house to look different. Warped, shifted, breathing. It didn't. Everything looked normal. Except the hallway. The door was still there, waiting. This time, it wasn't locked. I hadn't touched it. I know I hadn't. The knob turned easily. The door creaked open slowly. And inside, there was a room. About 10 by 10 feet. No windows, no furniture, just beige carpet, white walls, and a single pull chain light hanging from the ceiling. It looked unfinished, but not abandoned. There was no dust, no debris, no smell of construction, just still air. I stepped out inside. The temperature dropped slightly. The light flickered once when I pulled the chain. I turned slowly in a full circle. 4 walls. No closets, no vents, no outlets. That's when I realized something that made my skin crawl. There was no seam where this room connected to the rest of the house. No visible structural merge. It was as if the house had always been built around it. I stepped back out, closed the door, opened it again. Still there. I walked outside and looked at the exterior wall where the room should be. There was no extension, no bump out, no extra structure. The house shape was exactly the same, which means the room had no physical space to exist. That was the moment I started recording things, just in case. I don't know who I think I'm documenting this for. Maybe myself? Maybe proof. Maybe so if something happens, someone can understand the timeline. Last night was the second night. I woke up again. 2:13 a.m. Exactly. This time I heard something. A soft sound, like fabric shifting. From the hallway, I stayed still. Listened. Another sound. Not footsteps, not scratching, just movement. Slow. Careful. I got up and opened my bedroom door. The hallway light was off. But the door at the end, it was open. A crack. The room light was on. I don't remember turning it on. I don't remember leaving the door open. I walked toward it slowly. The air felt colder than before. I pushed the door wider. The room looked the same. Empty. Still. But the carpet? There were indentations in it. Not footprints. Not exactly. More like something heavy had been resting in the center of the room. Something large, circular, and now it was gone. I didn't step inside. I couldn't. Because for a second, I thought I saw the far wall shift, just slightly, like something behind it moved. I blinked. It was normal again. I shut the door, locked it, pushed a chair under the knob, and went back to my bedroom. I didn't sleep. At 3:40 a.m., I heard 3 soft knocks from the other side of that door. Not loud, not aggressive, just knock, 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 slow, measured, patient. I didn't respond. I didn't move. After a minute, 3 more knocks, this time slightly harder. I don't know how long I lay there listening to my own heartbeat, but eventually it stopped. Silence. This morning, the chair was no longer under the knob. It was back against the hallway wall, exactly where it usually sits. I know I moved it. I remember the scraping sound on the floor, but it was back, perfectly aligned, like it had never been touched. The door was closed. When I opened it, the room was different. Not dramatically, subtly. The wall looked darker, not painted, just slightly aged, like they'd been there longer than the rest of the house. And in the center of the carpet, there was a faint circular stain, about 6 feet wide, darker than the surrounding fabric, like something had been sitting there for a long time, something heavy, something that belonged. I haven't told anyone, because what would I say? Hey, I think May House is growing new rooms at night? That doesn't sound stable. I checked the blueprints online, county property records, original floor plans. There is no room. It doesn't exist on paper, but it exists here. I can touch it. I can step inside it. And every time I do, it feels like the room is slightly more comfortable, like it's settling in. Last hour, I noticed something new. There's a faint sound in there now, not constant, not loud, just barely audible. If you stand very still, it sounds like breathing. Slow, deep, not mine. I don't think the room is empty. I think it's waiting. And I think it wasn't built. I think it's forming, like something is pushing into this space from somewhere else. And my house is just the easiest place for it to come through. Tonight, I'm going to leave a camera inside. I need to see what happens at 2:13. I need proof that I'm not imagining this, because if the footage shows nothing, if the room stays still, then that means the movement, the knocks, the breathing, that's coming from somewhere else. If you're watching this and this sounds insane, I get it. I would think the same, but I know my house, I know its walls, and I know there was never a door at the end of that hallway. If anything changes tonight, if the room grows, if something finally steps into view, I'll document it. So subscribe if you want to see what the camera records at 2:13 a.m., because if I'm right, tomorrow that room might not be empty anymore.
Subscribe, like, and share for more videos.